Have you ever been in a conversation where you wanted to speak, but you held back? Maybe because you felt your opinion wouldn't be taken seriously, or you noticed how in some conversation at home, work, or even online, certain people's voices just don't get heard as much. That is the muted group theory, and that is what we'll be talking about today. I am Dr. Kemi. On this channel, I simplify communication theories and media concepts. Please subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends. Today we are discussing the muted group theory. The muted group theory is a powerful idea that explains why some voices get silenced, not by force or by fear of isolation, but by the way our society communicates. This theory was developed around 1981 by feminist scholar Cheryl Kramaria. She noticed that in many cultures, including hers, communication systems were largely designed by men, which means men's ways of speaking and experiences were treated and regarded as the norm. So women and other less powerful groups often have to adjust their speech to fit into that system, and when they don't, they are dismissed, ignored, misunderstood, or labeled as too soft, too loud, or too emotional. So in simple terms, the muted group theory says the way we speak and the stories we tell reflect power, and not everyone gets to define what counts as normal communication. This theory is all around us, so let's make it real. Think of a typical Nigerian workplace meeting or a church committee. You often notice that conversations in places like this are often led and dominated by men, while women stay quiet, even when they have valid and strong points to make. Not because these women don't want to speak, but because they know that their idea might be dismissed or misinterpreted, so they choose silence. That's the muted group theory in action. Another example is on social media. A woman tweets about gender-based violence or calls out double standard, and some people respond, feminist wala again, or she's just overreacting. That is the muted group theory in action. Not because she's silent, but because the system has made it difficult for her voice to be heard. The system has made it very hard for her opinion to be taken seriously. Another example is a typical Nigerian home. A girl child might be told, "Don't talk back to your elders," while a boy child might be praised for being assertive. When these two grow up, one has learned to be vocal and the other one has learned to stay quiet. The muted group theory has some few key interesting assumptions. Let's run through them. The first assumption is that society is not neutral. Society doesn't speak everyone's language. It revolves around the language and experiences of the dominant group, often men. Let's be honest with ourselves. In Nigeria, not everyone's voice carries the same weight. Think of when governments make policies. You barely find market women, low-income earners, artisans, or mothers involved in this discussion. And these are the people that get affected the most by these policies. When the elites speak about the masses, they use their language, jargons, and statistics. Meanwhile, these people they are talking about speaks in proverbs, emotion, and lived experience. And that is what Kramaria meant when she says society is not neutral. Society is built around the language of those in power. The second assumption is that those outside the power circle must translate their experiences to be heard. Think of a young woman working in a bank. She noticed that when her male colleague speaks up in meeting, they get praised for being assertive. In fact, they are regarded or described as competent. But when she speaks up in meeting, they describe her as too emotional. So next time, she lowers her voice, select her word carefully, and smile often when speaking. This is what Kramaria meant when she says translation. Translation in this regard refers to the effort those outside the power circle make for their voices to be heard, for them to survive, So that young woman working in a bank now, she is translating, she is adjusting to survive. The third point. The third assumption says in the process of translation, meaning gets lost. In the process, meaning gets lost. Now think about social media. Someone tweets about sexual harassment or domestic violence. Instead of listening with empathy, some people responded, "You are chasing clout. Why did you leave? Who forced you into the relationship?" Now she speaks, but her message has been twisted, wrapped in mockery and misunderstanding. And that's how muting works. Not silence now, but distortion. She speaks, but society isn't truly listening. We have seen this play out in many tragic cases in Nigeria, where victims' voices and stories don't get attention until something irreversible happens. This tells us that until our society understand and is ready to listen with empathy, many voices remain muted even when they are screaming for help. The fourth assumption says that power determines whose voice is amplified. Power determines whose voice is amplified. To be honest, let's say someone like Chimamanda Adichie Ngozi speaks about feminism on social media. What happened? The world listens because she's got the social power, credibility, and accessibility. But when an unknown Nigerian woman speaks about feminism on social media or even at a family meeting, her idea gets dismissed or she gets misinterpreted or ignored. And that's power in action. That's muted group theory in action. And that's why the theory says that power gives your voice microphone, while lack of it mutes it. Power gives your voice microphone, while lack of power mutes your voice. The muted group theory reminds us that communication is never equal. So if you want a fairer society where everyone, children, women, young people will be free to speak up in their own voices without being dismissed, without being misunderstood, our society must create spaces for that. You must create spaces for everyone to be free to speak up freely without being judged. For real, not everyone agrees with the muted group theory. It has been criticized. Yeah, some people believe that the theory focuses too much on gender and ignore the fact that sometimes men get muted too, especially when they don't fit into the society's image of masculinity. Why some people believe that social media like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook has given some people's courage to speak freely in their own voice without fear of being dismissed or misunderstood. What is your opinion? What do you think? Has the internet truly unmuted us? Please like this video, share with friends, and in the comment section, share a real example where a group in Nigeria has been muted or misunderstood. Please make it thoughtful because I'll be reading. And remember, when you speak, speak boldly. When you listen, listen deeply, listen with empathy, because communication is never complete until everyone's voice is heard. I am Dr. Kemi. Thank you for watching. See you in the next class right here on YouTube.